Did you ever want to paint your patio furniture and give it a faux finish look? Well, I'm Renee Romeo and I'm here to show you just how to do that. Sometimes when you have outdoor patio furniture, maybe the best thing for you to do is to take a spray can and go ahead and coat the entire thing evenly, which I've done with some of the chairs in the back. But on these chairs, there's a lot of relief on it, so I can make some really pretty nice highlights on the top of this, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. You'll see I have a gray color right now and I have some gold highlights on it already, but it's quite weathered. So what I've done up to this point is I've taken my pressure washer, I've soaked up the entire chair with some grime remover detergent, and then gone ahead and power washed it all off and let it dry for a couple of hours. So what I actually have here, I don't have any spray paint. What I have is just a gallon of acrylic latex paint. I have a paintbrush, and I'm just going to go ahead with another kind of brown gray color and go over the top of the surface really kind of lightly, and just so I can get into all of the nooks and crannies of my relief. So that once I do this, I fill most of the surface in, but I can go ahead and have some of that other finish show through, which will just enhance the faux finish on the finished product. This tabletop is really the most weathered piece of all of them. So I'm going to show you just exactly how much of this surface I let show through and how much I cover up. I have some really dark black in here, so I'm going to make sure that the dark black is pretty well covered. I don't want this piece to be, quite too colorful. I'm going more for a tone on tone. But again, your project might be different and you might want that really weathered stuff to show through. And also, if you come across some areas that have rust on them, go ahead and get a wire brush. Make sure that you get all that rust off. You can go ahead and prime it if you'd like, but some of these paints come with paint and primer in them, so that might be your best bet as far as letting that go. And so you can kind of see just how much coverage I have here in comparison to the other part of the tabletop. And if you're wondering just how much paint I use, you'll see I'm dipping it in just slightly. I might have a 1/4 of an inch worth of paint here, and then I go ahead and I brush it off on either side so that I can get just a little bit of paint in there. It's not like you're going to be painting the side of a house, so you need to load up your brush. You're really looking for a light coating all over the top of this. And that's about as far as it goes. All the chairs are painted. The bottom coat is done and dry, and so you'll see over here I've already started doing the faux finish. This chair is complete and ready to go back into my permanent space. So to get this look from this chair, what I've done is I've gotten one of these cheap throwaway brushes. They're usually made for stain. And so you can go ahead and pick one of these up. It can be any size. I have the smallest size available. I have a little painter's palette here. You can use a plate if you don't have one of these, but it's really nice to just kind of brush this paint off your brush before you actually put it onto the chair. I have a container for water, and I also have a metallic paint. Now in my case, this is a bronze color paint, metallic, and you don't need very much of it at all. You're not going to be using hardly any, so a container about this size is just perfect. From that point, all you'll need is a paper towel just to kind of brush things off in case things get a little goopy. And so let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing I do is take my brush, dip it in the water, get as much off as you can, and then go ahead and pat it down with your paper towel. From that point, you can kind of floof it out a little bit so you get like a little fan shape, and then go ahead and dip it, like really not a lot, into your paint so that you have enough on your brush. You can come over to your palette or your plate, whatever you're using, and just kind of move it around a little bit. You're really getting just a bunch of paint off of the tip of the brush. So from that point, I'm going to be moving in one direction and one direction only. I split the chair into sections, so I have the front face, the seat, and each leg individually, and that's how I'm going to treat it. So each time I do that, I'm going to change and dip my brush in water and repeat the process all over again. So as I go along here, you'll see I'm just really dragging the brush and letting it hit all of these areas that stick up on the relief. And hopefully you can see on camera just how much that pattern sticks out when you brush gently over the top of this. So now I need to reload my brush. I don't need to put it in the water again. I'm just going to go ahead and put that onto my palette one more time and continue. And the other thing about this is that if you feel like you have a little bit too much paint in one spot, you know, more than the other, the more you go over this, the more you'll spread it out, and so you won't get these big gloppy areas of paint. And really, you know, one of the great things about this type of technique is that you want it to appear aged. And so if you can remember what this chair looked like when before I even touched it, you know, it did have darker areas and lighter areas, and it wasn't completely even all the way around. So I'm going to simply leave it like that. I have everything covered that I need to cover. I can go back over it, and again, if you need to go back in and hit this again, make sure that you're doing it on that 45-degree angle. And as long as you stay with that tip, when you get all your furniture into the area, it's all going to look perfect and even, and like it all went together. This is not a haphazard kind of thing that I'm doing here. I'm really taking my time and making sure that I'm leaving it on the 45. So now I can go ahead, I'm going to switch to the seat, dip it in water, and just gently pat it out, dip some more paint, come up onto my palette, making sure that I have paint on my brush but not a whole lot. So then I can go ahead and, staying on this 45, I can now go over the seat. I'm just going to do a close-up on this magnolia flower on the corner here and just show you how this shape just completely pops out. So staying on my 45, I'm just brushing over it until I get the look I'm going for. And look, it looks perfectly antique. I'll just show you how this tabletop pops to life. So, keeping with that 45-degree angle again, I'm just lightly hitting the surface. And then to treat the side here, we're going to keep in that 45-degree angle, making sure that things remain consistent all the way through the piece. Your first thought might be just to run your brush along the edge, but don't do that. You'll get a much better complete picture with it on a 45. This is just a really nice shot of a before and after. So the chair in the front is the before, and then the chair behind it is the after. And I'll zero in on it so you can see the difference in the finishes. And it's really just beautiful. Here's the finished product all in its space, and you'll see it really turned out to be a nice faux finish. It looks very weathered, which is exactly what I was looking for in this space. So you'll see I have another one already completed that has a custom cushion on it next to it, and I'll go ahead and show you that in another segment. But this is going to weather just fine. It's in a covered area. If you're going to put your furniture out in complete weather, then you'll need to polyurethane over the top of this just to protect the finish and make sure that it'll weather over the years to a nice finish. So if you want to go ahead and do something like this for yourself, you'll see it wasn't all that difficult. Everything's in place. It didn't take very long to do, and you'll completely change the look of any piece that you find in a store that might not completely match your decor. So this is Renee Romeo. Until next time, thank you for watching.